Fear not, citizens. Justice will be served. You're in good hands.
The defense is wrong.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Hello, hello. Good to see everybody. So, I've got a couple things for you today. We're going to go over Anna Kepner, but I've also got a couple news clips from something that I saw this morning that I wanted to share. If you don't stop popping up on my screen, a volume thing. Oh my God. I've got to get a new camera. Oh my God. So, let's see. It's Sunday. I do not expect a whole lot of traffic in here today, but chatters, lurkers, and yes, even the haters, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. So let's get our weekly dose of why people are the absolute worst. Quick reminder, I am not a detective or a lawyer. I am just someone who cares about justice and breaks down these cases with a little bit of snark. Yeah. So if any of you need to step away for your mental health, please do so. I completely understand. It's not going to affect me. You need to take care of yourself first. And also, we need to keep this space respectful. Drama is not welcome here. If you have an issue with someone in the chat, that block button is absolutely free. Use it at your discretion and keep the focus where it belongs. If you have a problem with me or someone else, let's take it up with them outside of this. That's all I've really got to say about that. I hope everybody's had a great week. It's been an interesting weekend. Hi, good to see you. Peggy and Simi, good to see you. Let's see. I feel like there was something else that I wanted to say. I have been rushing, and yes, I'm wearing clothes. I made the mistake of wearing a tube top, so you can't see it. Oh my word. I'm a mess. So, my goodness, I have been blessed with Chris in the chat. Hi, Chris. Good to see you. So good to see you. Hey, Tracy. Good to see you. So I'm just getting started saying my hellos, and I'm about to play some news clips, and then we're going to get into the Anna Kepner case. Good to see you, Miss McGuire. Good to see you. And as always, I'm going to throw this up here because I'm not a mess. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. All right, I'm going to throw this up there as always because you know that these cases can be triggering, and I always, it's not easy. We're talking about, the schmurders and things like that. So let me go ahead and add the trigger warning. And also the first news thing that I'm going to play is really, really sad. So let me get into that. Take that off. And, oop, I'm trying to put that back on there. There we go. So,
Tonight, tragedy in Wellesley. A mother is now facing murder charges in the deaths of her two young children. The district attorney tells us 49-year-old Jeanette McCausland is being held in Vermont right now on a fugitive from justice charge. NBC 10's Aaron Logan is in Wellesley, where neighbors are trying to make sense of this brutal crime.
Now that neighbors know the reason why police were called to this Edgemore Avenue home, their hearts are broken. Many came outside to share their memories of the little boy and girl who always made them smile.
It's really, really hard to believe they are not anymore, so I'm very sad to hear that.
Jerry Peng and his son Jeffrey never expected this heavy police presence was the result of two young children allegedly murdered by their mother.
I'm still trying to process everything that's happened.
The Norfolk District Attorney says Wellesley police got a call from a Vermont police department around 9:30 Friday night.
So, and if you're new here, you know that I'm going to pause a lot because that's just what you have to do on YouTube so they don't strike you. But so I saw this morning, and I don't know if it happened yesterday or if this is older, but it said 16 hours ago this morning, so I'm guessing that this happened yesterday. Good to see you, Cold. Yeah, I know. It's so heartbreaking. Every single day that we turn around, there's literally something else.
Requesting a wellness check at an Edgemore Avenue home. When police arrived, they found two children, ages 6 and 7, dead inside the home. Hours later, the DA's office said their mother, 49-year-old Jeanette McCausland, has been charged in their deaths. She's being held in a Vermont jail on a fugitive from justice charge.
Normally, I talk with the dad on the street. I cannot imagine, this could be something related to the kid's mom. It's hard for me to believe that.
Another family who didn't want to be identified also mentioned seeing the kids biking up and down the street, often with their father.
It's very sad. I mean, it's horrible. Those were adorable little kids, and, it made the street a happy, this street, our kids grew up here.
This chalk on the driveway next door to the Pengs.
You can still see some of that.
A somber reminder of two lives cut short in an unimaginable way.
The kids seem so cheerful, so positive, so happy, so carefree.
There are still so many unanswered questions about this tragedy, many wondering where the father is and how he is doing. McCausland is expected to face a judge in Vermont on Monday, and then back here in Massachusetts, she'll answer to the murder charges.
It's unbelievable.
Very shocked, yeah. So I'd never realized something like that.
I feel very sad for the loss of the two kids.
Wellesley neighbors are devastated and shocked after a horrifying discovery inside this home at 63 Edgemore Ave.
Check on that residence. Should be two children there. Secure that scene. Order in the midnight shift.
Norfolk County DA said Wellesley police had received a call around 9:30 Friday night from a Vermont police department for a wellness check at the home. Once police arrived, they found two dead children inside the home.
The father is on the phone now. Unconsolable on the phone.
Vicky Chan says she knew something was wrong last night when multiple police cars arrived.
Everyone feels very bad for the loss of the two kids. We just wonder, what's going on.
James and Laura, who did not want to show their faces, are familiar with the family.
From what I know of the family, it seems to me like very surprising. Seemed very well cared for. Their parents seem to love them a lot. None of this seems consistent with what we've seen walking our dog by the house.
There was a large police presence all throughout the day on Saturday as investigators searched the home and spoke with neighbors.
The police knocked our door. He wants the camera report. He said it's an accident happened.
Neighbors say they would often see the kids playing outside.
They were very good friends playing together with the kids across the street.
It's really sad. I definitely know there are young kids in those two houses.
Now, folks in this community are wondering how this could happen and why.
It's very sad. I mean, it's horrible. Those were adorable little kids.
Again, the ages of those two children are 6 and 7. McCausland will be arraigned in Vermont Superior Court on Monday to answer to those fugitive from justice charges. Now, Vermont State Police is also working closely with Massachusetts State Police.
Good to see you, Patriotism. And I'm going to Monday, as soon as those come out, I will update you guys on that. This is so sad.
Police to have her brought back here to Massachusetts to answer to those murder charges as well.
All right. So there's that. And so you guys know I like to, let's get some photos of Anna up here. Oh my goodness. They're not showing all of the photos. Oh wait, that's because I'm not in the right folder. Nope, I am in the right folder. Well, that sucks. Let me see. Oh wait, no, there they are. Okay. So, it doesn't want to work for me. So we'll just throw that up there. And I'm going to remove myself from the stage and read a little bit about Anna before we get into this, because I like to talk about the victim and who they were before the crime happened. The crime, is important, justice is important, but their life before this and who they were is important. So I'm going to do that. Give me 1 second. Bear with me. And I'm terrible at reading. Can you guys still hear me? Let me know. I'm terrible at reading out loud. I know how to read. I'm just terrible at reading out loud. I was always that kid in the back of the classroom who did not want to be picked to read the next paragraph. I was all like, please don't pick me. Please don't pick me. Awesome. You can hear me. Perfect. The crime is the final chapter in someone's book of life. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Anna Marie Kepner. How can we possibly capture every bit of beauty that was Anna Marie Kepner? Our Anna Banana, our sunshine, our baby girl. At just 18 years old, she filled the world with laughter, love, and light that reached everyone around her. Anna was pure energy, bubbly, funny, outgoing, and completely herself. She never had a filter, kind of like me, and that was part of her charm. Whether she was practicing new makeup looks, even if she had nowhere to go, making TikToks in front of the mirror, or blasting a perfectly curated playlist on the boat, Anna lived every day with her whole heart. She loved the sun, the water, and boat days. Island days and beach days, anything that let her soak in the light, she so easily radiated to others. She loved her She loved her siblings deeply and made sure they always felt it, whether it be taking them to the park, Halloween horror nights, or just out for fun, because that's who she was, thoughtful, nurturing, and always thinking of others. She had a big, beautiful heart, often sending random I love you messages or little gestures that made someone's day. Anna loved kids, dolphins, butterflies, arts and crafts, and doing puzzles. With her Mima, she had the best blonde moments, the kind that made everyone laugh, and her famous I gotta poop joke. Well, will be one of her family never forgets. Whoever's house was the closest got the surprise visit. Anna loved all kinds of music except for heavy metal and had a soft spot for Shawn Mendes. She was also incredibly determined and hardworking, reliable, responsible, and always willing to help. She supported many local businesses, and when they needed an extra hand, and I'm sorry, I lost my spot. When they needed an extra hand and had big dreams, that doesn't make sense. Business when they needed an extra hand and had big dreams for her future. She had planned to join the U.S. Navy after her graduation and later became and later became a K-9 police officer. Her love for sports and team spirit shone through every part of her life. A Georgia Bulldogs fan through and through. Just like her family, Anna dreamed of one day becoming a cheerleader for the Bulldogs, sharing her radiant smile and endless energy from the sidelines in red and black. Anna's adventurous spirit showed early. She got her boater's license before she could drive, and she was PADI certified to dive alongside her family. She started gymnastics at just 2 years old and continued through her mid-teens, even helping teach younger gymnastics at TBJC as she got older. She attended Titusville High School, where she was a proud member of the varsity team, and later Astronaut High School before finding her home at Temple Christian School, where she was joyfully looking forward to graduating with the class of 2026. Anna was a believer, a Christian whose faith blossomed as beautiful as her smile. She attended youth at the Grove Church and was baptized at Temple in May of 2025. Her family takes comfort in knowing that she is now in heaven, laughing, being the center of attention, enjoying fries with ranch, just as she loved here on earth. She leaves behind a family who adored her endlessly. Her father and stepmother, Christopher and Chantel, her mother, Heather, her Mima and Papa, and her siblings. I'm not going to say all these names. And the rest is just her celebration of life. So, put myself back on the screen. That was a lot, you guys. But now we know who Anna is. And she seemed so amazing. She seemed like super, like just happy and bubbly. And hi, Vic. Good to see you. Awesome, awesome. So that's who Anna was. Let me see. Hold on one second. I'm muted. So this is her car and all of her friends and family, and I guess students from her school had put balloons and flowers all over it, which I thought was really beautiful. I thought that was really cool. Had a bunch of pictures to show you guys, but apparently they are not the right image kind of files. So unfortunately, I cannot show you them. There she is again. She's so pretty. And I've got some videos that we're going to get into so we can talk about this. And let's see, we're going to start with the news clip, which I think is, let's start with this.
Brother of an 18-year-old found dead during a family cruise vacation is now being charged with assaulting and killing her. You may remember the story. Anna Kepner, who you see here, she was found dead in early November. The medical examiner found she'd been strangled to death. Her 16-year-old stepbrother is now being prosecuted. By the way, being prosecuted as an adult. He's facing murder and sex abuse charges. Prosecutors say Kepner's murder was premeditated. NBC News has reached out to his attorneys for comment, although we haven't heard back. I want to bring in George Solis, who is following this story for us, and it is a difficult update to a story that we covered initially when it happened in November. What else do we know from this indictment?
Yeah, Hallie, we were starting to see a little bit more of how this investigation and how the case really unfolded. In the court documents obtained by NBC News, the stepbrother is only identified as TH, but it basically appears that they had this case back in February and it was sealed, and then up until about last week, this was basically moved for adult prosecution. So obviously it's going to...
You know, this is crazy to me because there were so many warning signs. The boyfriend warned the family, they knew. Come on. They knew. This, I don't know. It's weird to me. And yes, cold. The butterfly balloon was really pretty.
Move a little bit differently and a little bit quicker. But what we're learning here, based on what federal
so
prosecutors
pretty.
are alleging, he's now facing charges of murder and aggravated sexual assault in the killing of his stepsister. And as you mentioned, you recall that it all takes place when the family is on board this Carnival cruise ship. Their investigators found her body essentially underneath a bed there. And even in an unrelated court case, Hallie, there was mention that TH was possibly a suspect in this case. Thus began a whole chain of events and a much more thorough investigation, which of course now ultimately leads us to this day where, again, we have these charges, these sex abuse and murder charges. At that time, it was known that he would be remanded into the custody of a guardian, not his parents. And as you mentioned, we have reached out multiple times to the family for comment and all of this. And so far, again, no comment from TH's family. However, we did hear from the family of Anna Kepner telling us that he needs to be arrested.
Patriotism, yes. She was 18.
At this time. He is now an adult and he needs to be arrested. That is what the family stands. Justice needs to be served. But again, now the timeline here kind of is expedited. Whether or not he has to be remanded into federal custody or whether he remains with a guardian, Hallie, is what remains to be seen.
George Solis. George, thank you very much.
We thank
All right. I was trying to I thought I had the timeline on my phone and I was going to go over it. In this case, hold on, let me see. In this case, just never understood why all the girls didn't sleep in one room and all the boys in another. If mom and dad wanted a roll in the sheets, they could have slipped away during. Yeah, I know. That is kind of weird. I mean, I'm not a parent. I don't know. And that was kind of like a weird Brady Bunch family going on. He needs to be in custody. Absolutely. Okay. And we're going to talk about that because that's weird. Why is he out? Why is he out? I think he's with his uncle, right? And also, I'm pretty sure he's like one of the first minors to be tried as an adult because it's a federal case. I think it's because they were out on the sea. Correct me if I'm wrong. Craziness, crazy. So, yeah, to me, what I was going to say, I'm sorry. If I were a parent, I guess from what I understood is they had the younger kids in one and the older kids in another. No, I would have, like you said, all the girls in one and all the boys in another. It doesn't matter if they're family or step family, whatever the case is. Yes, he's with his uncle. That's what I thought. And you want to know why I think that that's bullshit is let me give you an example of why I think that's bullshit. Give me 1 second. Bear with me. I'm pretty sure that if I can get my shit together, because I'm always a mess. What case was it? There was a case. Oh my God. All right, I have to look it up. Give me 1 second. While I'm doing that, you guys can watch this.
I'm still surprised as a father that these kids would be placed in the room together like this. They're
And there we go. We're getting into it.
not related. His family has not been together very long. And there had always been this suspicion, I think, that was kind of rambling about that he was obsessed with her. And that's a very dangerous combination.
And just to be clear, I mean, look, we don't know, just to be clear, just we don't know that for sure, right? Like, we don't know the circumstances there or why they're placed together. But I hear you. But yeah, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, it's just a very intimate space. You're talking about people that are not related on any level whatsoever, biologically, and it's a very slippery slope, I think. And also the nature of how she was found, I think, kind of implied to me at the beginning that there was probably a lot of shame involved in this. I think that in one interview I'd previously said that this was an infantile move. It was the way her body was hidden, wrapped in a blanket, covered in life preservers, as if no one would ever find the body. And of course, you know, anybody that's ever been on a cruise is fully aware of how tight these accommodations are.
Yeah.
So yeah, I suspected this early on.
So in other words, it's an amateur way to try to hide the body, try to hide the evidence. Here's the that I don't. You can help elaborate. In the indictment, prosecutors are putting out this charge. I assume, and I read the statute, that they're saying this was a sexual assault through use of force. How are they able to know that? I mean, what evidence would there be?
Oh my God.
Well, at exam, at autopsy, you know, without being too incredibly graphic, the signs of a sexual assault are readily visible many times. There would be a fight. Obviously, she's resistant. And Jesse, I got to tell you, I've read one.
You guys, I am not screwing around over here. I'm trying to find this information. I had it on my phone and I lost it. I told you I'm a mess today. I'm so sorry. All right.
One document that used the term penetrative. And so anytime you begin to hear that, doctors have something. The forensic pathologist would have had something, maybe some type of insult to a very intimate area of hers. And with this, Jesse, as you well know, we've been covering cases for a long time together. This is potentially very damning. And here's why. You know, many attorneys will say, well, you would expect to find his DNA perhaps in the cabin. But Jesse, you're not going to expect to find his DNA in a very intimate region of her body. And so that is markedly damning.
And look, I can't sit here and say for sure they have forensic material suggesting that, but I mean, I hear you what the circumstances could be. And yeah, 100% his DNA potentially could be within the other parts of the cabin, but if it's in places it shouldn't be, then let me ask you this. Why not more details about how she died? And let me be clear, this is not for some macabre reason. This is a legal case. And if they're talking about mechanical asphyxiation, which could be a number of different things, why didn't they release more details in the indictment right now?
I think that they're holding back. Miami-Dade ME, which is tops in the country, is going to fill in all of those blanks when this comes to trial. We do know mechanical, and just so folks understand what mechanical is, it's a very broad spectrum. You can have mechanical with a rope. You can have it actually with a pillow. But you know, the term armbar has come up very, very frequently in this. And what we would be talking about is if you feature the arm as almost a blade going down on the compressed area of the neck. They're saying that there are two focal areas of, I'm not going to say hemorrhage, but they're insulted right in this area. That would imply that perhaps the neck is slightly collapsed, pressing down, continued pressure in order to generate this. And again, Jesse, that's very, very intimate. You know, you're talking almost face-to-face contact here, somebody holding her in position like this. collapsing her windpipe, essentially her trachea. Rough stuff here. And I'm sure that when the grand jury viewed this evidence, which they did, this is a federal grand jury that has indicted this young man, it was enough there. There was enough information for them to say, we got to move forward with this.
Just to put it, we have about 20 seconds. It took so long for him to be indicted. Does that suggest this may be a tricky case?
I found it. So the reason I think that it's bullshit that this kid is out on bail, and anyone for that matter, also Chris Schultz is another example. He himself, while he was out on, I think he was out on bail, right? They let him go home. That was the thing. So here's another example. Austin Collette was a Houston area man who committed, and in April of 2025, while free on bond, despite having pleaded guilty to a 2019 murder, he was awaiting sentencing for the 2019 and was wearing an ankle monitor when his girlfriend in a downtown Houston apartment. So it was a double, you know what I'm saying? So not only did his girlfriend, but himself too. So I don't know why they're not keeping these people. Clearly they're criminals. He pleaded guilty. Why? And this is just one case. And also Chris Schultz, who he was the hot car daddy who left his baby in the car while he went and played video games and watched, that was wild to me. Like, I don't understand why this kid is out. In my opinion, he should be locked up.
Case that
Especially if they're going to try him as an adult.
maybe the forensic evidence or other material is not so straightforward.
I don't know about that. I think it's a tricky case because of his age, to be honest with you. I was just thinking about this before we went to air. That's what I was thinking.
Okay. So, I'm familiar with this case, but he's not one of the first minors to be tried as. No, he's not, Chris. But the thing is with this one is that it's a federal case because they were on the sea. It wasn't like he was in his hometown or in his state. This was international. So this is one of the first minor situations that's federal. So it's a little different, I think. From my understanding, and I think one of the videos that we're going to watch is going to explain that. So there's that little tidbit. And I'm glad you guys are learning something. I don't know everything about this case either, so we're learning together. Sometimes I get nervous coming on here because I think everybody expects me to know everything, and I absolutely do not. Let's see here. So I want to say it's a lawn crime video. Thank you all for being here, by the way. I appreciate it. If you can hit that like button and share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's get into this.
Year-old stepbrother of the Florida teenager found dead.
She is so beautiful. And if you guys were here when I just read, her life, she not only on the inside, but the outside too, like both. Donna, good to see you, miss. Oh, I've missed you. So many people coming. I feel so blessed today, you guys. Oh my goodness. Aw, thank you. I'm getting compliments, you guys. What? Everyone knows streamers and everything. Simi, right? I'm like, oh my God, I hope they don't start asking like stuff. Like, I don't know everything, I promise. All right, so this video is about like 20-ish, 30-ish minutes long, and I'm gonna pause like every 5 minutes. So See.
A Carnival cruise ship is being tried as an adult. And not only is he facing a charge of first-degree murder, he's also facing a charge of aggravated sexual abuse. And the feds are trying Timothy Hudson as an adult. Now, right now, he is still free. He is not behind.
Which is, let me get the mini gavel. Excuse you. Excuse you.
Behind bars, and we're looking at how.
And you can't hear the mini gavel because I'm on my laptop and I need to get one, a new camera because I'm blurry, and two, the speakers aren't that great. So when I rewatch these things, I'm like, they can't even hear this. I'm over here thinking I'm being cute. Not at all.
Quickly, that could potentially change with some newly unsealed court filings. We're on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart.
Thanks, Chris Stewart, Law and Crime, for the video. We appreciate it.
All right, let's get to it. This is some big news today in a case a lot of you have been following. Anna Kepner, her stepbrother, has just been indicted as an adult on a federal murder charge and an aggravated sexual abuse charge.
Federal.
Anna Kepner was 18 years old, and she was found dead in her stateroom aboard a Carnival cruise ship back in November 2025. And police are now saying her own stepbrother, who we are now naming for the first time because he is being tried as an adult, Timothy Hudson, he was allegedly in the stateroom with Anna Kepner. Now, we have our hands on some new court filings, and they're raising a very interesting question. Now that these charges are public and we can see how serious they are. This is the official indictment, and Timothy Hudson has been charged with murder and aggravated sexual abuse. He was first indicted in February as a minor, and he's been living with a family member. But now, after these charges have been made public in adult court, you have to wonder how likely it is that he will spend time in jail as this case moves forward. I'm going to be talking to a former state attorney from Florida to help us answer that question here in just a moment. So I want to talk about how this case has been building for months, because we have been waiting for this day for a long time. You go back to November 7th, 2025, and that's when a Carnival cruise ship named the Horizon was headed back to port in Miami. And inside a stateroom on that ship, crew members found 18-year-old Anna Kepner dead. She didn't show up for breakfast that morning. Her family was concerned, and then crew members went in and they found her wrapped in a blanket, covered with life.
Question. If your daughter didn't show up for breakfast and you were concerned, why you sending other people up to check for her? Why wouldn't you just go yourself? If I was a mother and my daughter didn't show up, I'd be out there looking for her like, where are you at? You know? I would have found my daughter. Someone else wouldn't have found my daughter. I would have. So I don't understand.
Jackets, allegedly, and stuffed under the bed. Now, the medical examiner in Miami-Dade County later ruled her death.
Patriotism, I have to, every once in a while, pause in order to not get a strike, but also I like to talk. So I'm sorry, that's just what I do.
Mechanical asphyxiation. This was from an arm bar. She was strangled to death, according to her autopsy. Now, here's what we know about Anna Kepner and what led up to this story on November 7th aboard that cruise ship. She was from Titusville, Florida, about 3 hours north of Miami, where she was a cheerleader. She planned to join the Navy when she graduated high school. And she was on that cruise as a member of a blended family, people coming together trying to start a new tradition. She was with her dad, her stepmom, and her stepmom's 2 children, along with grandparents. Now, one of her stepmom's kids, a 16-year-old boy, Timothy Hudson. Now, here is what investigators have pointed to. Anna and Timothy were sharing the stateroom where she was allegedly found. And according to court records, surveillance video shows no one else going in or out that night other than Anna Kepner and Timothy Hudson. Now, for months, the FBI stayed quiet on this case, but in a very unique way, we learned about how the investigation was going because of an unrelated custody case that
This is crazy too, because not only is this family dealing with what happened to their daughter and what's going on with the son, now they've got a custody battle in the middle of all this. And I thought about showing you guys the whole thing, but that's going to take up time, and I've got the Shonda stuff going on. So, but yeah, they had a whole custody battle going on in the middle of all this. And he actually got named as a suspect during the custody battle, which was crazy.
Involved Anna Kepner's stepmom and her ex-husband, and it had to do with the custody of Timothy Hudson, as well as his younger brother. And we also learned during that custody case that Timothy's mom allegedly admitted that she missed giving him insomnia medication 2 nights in a row on that cruise, including the night that Anna died. And you have to wonder, how is that going to play into a defense as this case now moves forward?
It ain't. That's insomnia medication. Are we going to blame this on sleepwalking? Get the heck out of here. Come on. Weak ass defense.
Then you have February. And that's when, for the first time, we saw Timothy Hudson going into federal court. But at that point, we weren't really sure what the proceeding was about. Reporters asked him point blank as he came out of the courtroom whether or not he killed his stepsister. But he had no answer for that. His attorney didn't say anything. And they just quietly walked away with his head down and covered with a hat and a hood. But what happened inside the court on that day, it was unclear because the case was sealed as he was just charged as a minor at that point. And the question everybody's asking, would he be charged as a juvenile in this case, where he would be released at 21 years old if found guilty, or would this case go down in adult court? And now we have our answer today, and it came in that bombshell as we are seeing some newly unsealed court filings that are changing the picture of how this case potentially could play out. So according to a superseding indictment that was filed on March 10th in federal court in Miami, and it was just unsealed, a federal grand jury has formally charged Timothy Hudson with first-degree murder, alleging that Hudson, quote, did knowingly and unlawfully perpetrate and attempt to perpetrate a murder that is the willful, deliberate, and malicious and premeditated killing of AK, of course, initials for Anna Kepner, with malice aforethought, meaning he allegedly planned it, not just a split-second act. Count 2 is aggravated sexual abuse. And I'll tell you, because as we've been following this story, there was reporting that was out there citing an autopsy that said that there was no sign of sexual trauma to Anna Kepner. But apparently, law enforcement believe otherwise because of this very serious charge, one that also carries the possibility of life in prison if found guilty. And I know we have a long way to go. In the indictment, it alleges that Hudson, quote, did knowingly cause AK to engage in a sexual act and did so by the use of force against AK. Under federal law, that carries some serious weight, and it is why prosecutors were able to seek adult charges. The max for both charges is life in prison if found guilty. But again, still a long way to go on that front. And I want to be very clear that these are just allegations at this point, and Timothy Hudson will be presumed innocent. But here is what makes this case legally significant. Hudson was 16 years old at the time all of this allegedly happened, and he is now being tried as an adult. Now, that decision became final on April 10th, just 3 days ago, when a federal judge ordered the case transferred to adult prosecution and unsealed the entire court record. And now we're learning just how much evidence the government has in this case. According to a discovery filing that was also unsealed today, federal prosecutors have turned over to the defense autopsy photographs and x-rays, the full medical examiner's report with notes, and an extraction of someone's cell phone, which is believed to be Anna's father, 4 body camera videos from Miami-Dade sheriff's deputies, and FBI timelines created by a special agent assigned to the case. And they also have FARO files, F-A-R-O. Those are 3D crime scene reconstruction technology images that show allegedly how Anna's body was found in that cabin. This is all significant when it comes to this case going forward. And it does suggest that the government is building a very detailed case. And now to understand the case fully, let's talk a little bit about this family and the dynamics at play, because it is somewhat complicated. You have Anna's father, Christopher Kepner, who married a woman named Chantel. And Chantel.
And wait till you find out, some of you may know about Anna's bio mom. I was so heartbroken.
Chantel is Timothy Hudson's biological mom. So Anna and Timothy, they become step-siblings through that marriage. Now, on that cruise, the family group included Anna's dad, her stepmom, Chantel, Anna's biological brother, and then Chantel's two children. You have Timothy, who's 16, and then he has a 14-year-old brother. Now, 3 teenagers in one stateroom and adults allegedly living across the hall for this cruise. And according to the testimony from this unrelated custody hearing, which we have been following, Chantel herself confirmed that Anna and Timothy shared that room together. She also testified that Timothy needed medication for ADHD and insomnia. There's a nighttime pill that he allegedly takes called clonidine, and he allegedly missed taking that medication.
Excuse me. I know that not all of us humans are the same, but I also take ADHD medicine and some other things. Stop blaming stuff on your bullshit. He did what he did because he wanted to do it. How about that? How about that?
One night, but 2 nights on the cruise. And that includes the night that Anna Kepner died. Now, Chantel testified that she fell asleep before giving Timothy that pill. Now, as for the relationship between Anna Kepner and her stepbrother, there are some differing accounts. Anna's grandparents who were on the cruise, they told ABC News that Anna and her stepbrother were, quote, 2 peas in a pod, real brother-sister bond. But then you have the dad.
I know that.
Detector test determined that was a lie.
Wasn't loud enough.
Detector test determined that was a lie.
Bullshit. A bullshit. A bullshit. A bullshit.
Of one of Anna's ex-boyfriends who told a very different story to Inside Edition. He said Timothy was, quote, obsessed with Anna. He also alleges that Timothy carried a knife and alleges that Timothy once got on top of Anna while she was sleeping, and Anna was so afraid of Timothy, the dad is saying that Anna would actually sleep at friends' houses to avoid him. Now, we don't know which version of that is true. We don't know which.
Yeah, so from my understanding, the boyfriend told people, like, yo, her stepbrother's making her feel uncomfortable. I've seen this. I've noticed that. She's told me this. And nothing was done. So for them to be like, oh, they were 2 peas in a pod, stop protecting this kid. Like, stop. I don't know, Chris. I'm not sure, but I feel like I saw something about it.
Version investigators believe, but obviously we're seeing some very serious charges here, and it's clear the family dynamic is central to understanding what may have happened on that ship and in that stateroom. Now that brings us back to the question that we're opening with here today, because now that Hudson is facing the possibility of life in prison, he's facing incredibly serious charges: premeditated first-degree murder and aggravated sexual abuse. Today he is still out of custody. And many people are wondering why. So here's the key. Hudson was originally released under the Juvenile Delinquency Act, different rules, different standards, but now he is an adult in the eyes of the court. And the government says those old rules, they no longer apply. And that answer just got more complicated because we've also obtained a new motion that was filed today by federal.
Okay, Chris. Well, I feel like there was history of abuse by the stepbrother, so I don't believe. Yeah. So Chris, to answer your question, Anna Kepner's family can technically sue Carnival Cruise Line, but legal experts note that they would face significant legal hurdles due to the federal laws governing at sea, unalivings at sea. So there are potential legal grounds for a lawsuit, but there's a lot of stuff under that. But there are also significant legal obstacles. Yeah, there's some stuff under there, but there would definitely be some hurdles.
Prosecutors asking the judge to revoke his release and to lock Timothy Hudson up in pretrial detention. Now, if the judge grants that motion, Hudson could be taken into custody within days. Now, Timothy Hudson, per court records, is currently out of custody, but that could be changing. Now, we have obtained this motion filed today, April 13th, by federal prosecutors, and they are asking the judge to revoke his release immediately. So here is their argument, according to the court filing. They say Hudson was originally released under the Juvenile Delinquency Act, which has different rules, but now that he's been formally transferred to adult prosecution, they argue that the Juvenile Act no longer applies. Instead, they say the Bail Reform Act is now in control. And under the Bail Reform Act, prosecutors write, quote, that Hudson is a danger to others and should be held in pretrial detention. And they go on to say there is no assurance any court could ever have that any conditions or combination of conditions would be sufficient to prevent the defendant from being a danger to others. So to understand where he is right now, court records show that Hudson has been living with his uncle in Central Florida. He's on GPS monitoring, and he's not allowed to be alone with anyone under the age of 18. And here's something else that we just learned from these filings today. Timothy's uncle needed to go on a church retreat with his own son. So the defense asked for a temporary modification, allowing Hudson to stay with his aunt and even go to work with his dad, who runs a landscaping company. Now, the government did not oppose the request. A judge granted it. That modification ran from April 8th through today, April 13th, which means...
So what was the point of the ankle monitor? I mean...
Today, those special permissions expire. And he goes back to the original conditions. But you have to wonder, does that matter? Because the government is now asking for his release to be revoked entirely. The judge has not ruled on this motion yet, but the government is asking for a hearing to make their case, which brings us to our next question. And this is why we brought in our guest. What happens now? Does a judge actually revoke the release for this 16-year-old who is facing the possibility of life in federal prison? And how does this change the legal strategy for both sides? Joining us now from South Florida to talk a little bit about the developments in this case, former state attorney for Palm Beach County, Dave Ehrenberg. Always great to have you here on Law and Crime. I know we've talked about this case before, as it just felt like week after week, waiting for this news, and here it comes today. What stands out to you with what it appears the federal government is charging 16-year-old Timothy Hudson with?
Good to be back with you, Chris. I think it's a sexual assault. That's new information. We really weren't aware of the extent of this because the feds need a nexus to make it a federal crime. Now, I know it's on the high seas, but generally they don't just charge regular murder. There's a felony murder. It's got to take place in the context of another crime, and that's sexual assault. They also are charging premeditated murder. It's usually a state crime, not a federal one. But I think for me, the biggest surprise is the allegation of the sexual assault. I think people assume because they had a sibling relationship that was unlikely. But remember, it's a stepsister. And there have been some allegations that we knew of about the stepbrother. And the allegations were made by the victim's ex-boyfriend, who thought something untoward was going on with this guy. So the fact is now that the feds must have enough evidence to charge it, because they can only charge ethically what they think they could prove to a jury beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yeah, and just to backtrack, because there was some reporting that came out as everybody was trying to understand this case a little better, that there were no signs of sexual assault, but apparently according to the DOJ, that wasn't true. They believe that there is. And then you have, the story about the stepbrother and people who found him to be, in their words, was a little, I think, infatuated with Anna Kepner, they had said. And then you're kind of seeing this play out. And we don't at this point have like a criminal complaint laying out the exact narrative. He's 16 years old. And, you're a minor till you're 18, typically. Why would he be tried? I know these are serious crimes, but what is the bar actually to try him in the adult system as opposed to keeping him as a juvenile?
Well, first, as a juvenile, it's unconstitutional to seek the death penalty. So that's off the table. But why would they go for adult charges? It's because the adult system is better equipped to handle an alleged very violent crime like this. Because if you are charged as a juvenile, the juvenile system generally only has jurisdiction up to age 21. So you're talking about someone who could be found guilty and then set free at the age of 21. And that's why it's not fully equipped to handle something like this. The adult system has more flexibility where they could give someone punishment and rehabilitation. They could blend the sentence. They could have him serve some of the time in the juvenile facility.
So, okay, I don't think the 15-year-old should be treated like an adult, and that's okay. There are a lot of people who are on the fence about that. Some people think that minors should, be treated like minors and go through the, juvenile process, and in hopes of rehabilitation, and that they can go back into society and be, productive and, whatever. But then you've got the other side that's like, no, he knew what he was doing. He's old enough. It was premeditated. There's too much of this going on, and he should be thrown under the jail. And a lot of states are doing this now. A lot of juveniles, even I want to say it was like a 12-year-old. I don't remember what case it was, but they were really young and they got tried as an adult. Now that one was a little too much, but 15, 16, like you know what you're doing. But I mean, to each their own.
Facility, then transferred to an adult facility. But if you try him only in the juvenile court, then you are limiting your jurisdiction and pretty much assuring that justice will not be done because he'll get to walk free at a very young age.
Yeah, far, exactly. They know right from wrong. And I actually don't think that, they say, oh, when you're 18, I'm going to kick you out of the house. 18 is the legal age. 18, you're an adult. Da, 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 da. But in my honest opinion, like, even in your 20s, you're still learning life. You're still navigating everything. And I honestly, even in my 30s, was still struggling, like, figuring everything out. So, but certain things you just definitely know right from wrong. And this is a definite right, wrong situation. Like, this is a wrong situation. In my alone, 18 and younger shouldn't be. I think he should be tried as an adult, but I think yeah. Patriot, it's and I mean, everyone's got their opinions, and that's totally okay. It's totally okay. In this particular case, I believe that he should be tried as an adult, but that's my personal opinion. I don't believe that that should be the case for every case. There are some cases where I'm like, that maybe not. Alleged crime adult standards should be taken into consideration. Alleged crime adult standards, yeah. So, I mean, it also depends on the crime, and this is a pretty serious crime. We're talking about SA and, unaliving. So that's pretty serious.
Well, and one other part of this too is like he's been free since all of this happened. Allegedly back in November, Anna Kepner's body comes off the ship. I believe November 6th is the date that they say that she was killed, and he has not been in custody since. We saw him in court in Miami in February, I think it was, and that's when he was indicted on this as a juvenile. He has been living with a relative as all of this has played out. And then now he's tried as an adult. And I know the DOJ filed a motion to have him held in pretrial detention. How likely is it? Because these are two very serious charges that he's facing.
Simi, I agree. There's no rehabilitation in prisons. I don't think anybody gets better in prisons. It's a tough one. I mean, it's really a tough one. The sad part tells me he knew exactly. Yeah. I mean, these are tough situations, and everyone's got their opinions.
that even as a 16-year-old, he would be held in pretrial detention as this case now goes through the adult court system.
Right. Well, it's up to the judge. And because the charges now are so serious that it's unlikely he'll be set free to go live with his parents. I mean, in general, when you're facing first-degree murder charges, you're not going to get out pretrial. Now, the general rule is that there is a bias towards pretrial release. But if someone presents a flight risk, or if someone presents a risk to the community, and if you're charged with sexual assault and murder, then that pretty much shows you're a threat to the community. You're not going to be released pre-trial. So even though his age is that of a juvenile, here he's going to be treated in adult court like an adult.
A big difference, as you know well, between the federal court system and then if this case was tried in Florida and in, say, Miami-Dade County, cameras, access to the courtroom and all of that. What are some of the other differences as this now goes through the adult court system that we could see compared to it being held in a district court?
Do you mean compared?
Patriotism, I do it all the time. I live in Top Chat. I always say they're holding me hostage.
To a state court or compared to a juvenile court?
Excuse me. If he was tried, say, by the state attorney of Miami-Dade County, how that would play out compared to how this is going to go now that he's in I believe the Southern District of Florida court.
If you're tried in juvenile court, the hearings are kept secret and the focus is on rehabilitation, not punishment. But now in adult court, the focus is on punishment. And things are in the public. I mean, the public will get access to documents and will know more about this individual than if he was in juvenile court. But the difference here is that since he's being tried in federal court as opposed to state court, there will be no cameras in the courtroom. That is an advantage, I think, for the defense here. I think the federal courts should get with the program and allow cameras in the courtroom. We want more transparency, not less, especially.
Yes. More transparency. I can't stand when there's no cameras in the courtroom. I know certain states don't allow it. New York doesn't allow it. I was really surprised that the judge let us in on Rex Heuermann's plea. I was so excited to see it because I was mad that I wasn't going to get to see the trial. I hate not being able to watch a trial because I need to see everything. I want, like he said, full transparency. I don't like relying on other people to get my news. Like, I don't want to hear what they got coming out, the reporters and the lawyers and stuff like that. I want to see it in the courtroom. Show me everything.
During this time, there's so much misinformation and conspiracy theories. But because he will be tried as an adult,
Yes.
the public will have more access to the information than if he was tried as a juvenile. But because he's in federal court, not state court, there will not be cameras in the courtroom.
And when it comes to his potential defense and some of the reporting that was out there, one was that he had told, I believe his grandparents in an interview said this, that he just doesn't remember anything that happened, that he blacked out. We know that there was an issue potentially with some inside.
My detector test determined that was a lie.
A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit.
Omnia medication that he had, and we know that through some of the custody proceedings that had played out involving his mom and dad. But as far as the argument of I blacked out, when it seems that prosecutors have him going into the room where Anna Kepner was later found dead, and some of the forensic evidence, which we don't know of as of yet, especially related to the alleged sexual abuse, how could that defense come into play, for whatever attorney is representing him?
Yeah, the defense is going to point to personal circumstances, medication that wasn't given, but the law looks at the totality of the evidence. So we have a 7-day trial here, probably, that's where the prosecution is going to present thousands of pages of evidence.
Oh, what I tell you, they were going to say, oh, I was sleepwalking, I blacked out, because his mom didn't give him that medication. Look, I didn't even see that part, and I already called it. My ass.
They've downloaded cell phones. They're going to have witness testimony. And they're going to show not only is there evidence that he had premeditation, but they're also going to show his actions afterwards, where he tried to cover up his tracks. He tried to hide the body. Things like that show that this wasn't a mistake. This wasn't because the meds went awry. This was because he planned it and then tried to hide it afterwards. So it's going to be tough for him to avoid it. And even if he can convince a jury that there was not premeditation here, he's being tried for felony murder as well. And felony murder means you committed a murder while you're committing another felony, and that would be the sexual assault. So you don't necessarily need premeditation here to get this guy a life sentence.
I know that there was reporting that he had gone to the hospital after, and this was from his grandparents gave an interview, I think it was to ABC News, and then a lot of information about how the investigation was going from what they knew was out in the public. He went to the hospital, he was evaluated, and then we heard that his mom had admitted to allegedly not giving a insomnia medication that.
Wait, how old was he? Do you guys know how old is he? Is he 16, 15, 16? I don't know. I wouldn't let my kid take their own meds, depending on what kind they were. I would monitor them. If they want to blame it on getting his meds, then blame on mom for not issuing. Yeah. 16 was 7. So between 16 and 17, I mean, maybe. At 17, maybe. At 16, I don't know, because I was pretty irresponsible when I was 16, but I had a different kind of bringing up. So I don't know. If I was a parent, I would probably monitor my kids' medication.
He was taking the night that all of this took place. The fact that he's still facing these charges, what does that tell you about the work that investigators did along the way and kind of looking into his mental health, looking into whether he's diagnosed with anything? And here we are, he's still facing an incredibly serious crime for what he allegedly did in that stateroom.
I think the cell phone would have been important. You know, they extracted cell phone data from this individual and from others to get a full picture of what was going on. And I think that digital evidence may have provided some evidence that there was planning, there was intent. The search histories matter. What is he?
Search histories. If y'all know me, y'all know I love a good Google search. Give me the Google searches, because that right there is going to take you down. Yeah, look through his phone. Look at the pictures, maybe, because he might have been weird and been taking some pictures of her that she didn't know about. I'm always excited about the digital evidence. ADHD meds are a controlled substance. Yeah. So, I mean, I would have monitored those. Uncle Google gonna get ya. That's what I always say. Uncle Google gonna get ya. In the video earlier said 16. Okay, thank you, patriotism. I thought it was around something like that. I wasn't sure. But yeah, give me the phone records. Give me the Google searches. Like Rex Heuermann's. Oh my God, his planning document. I've got that PDF, and his Google searches. And let me tell y'all something. I'm sorry, I'm going off track. I'm going on a side quest. I just watched the last episode of the Peacock documentary on the Rex Heuermann Peacock documentary. Oh my God. That was crazy. I couldn't believe it. I'm not going to give it away if y'all ain't seen it, because so many twists and turns. That was crazy. Crazy. The only thing that I'm going to say is that Asa moved. Sleuthy side quest, always. I'm always going on a side quest. But the only thing that I'm going to say about this is that Asa moved into the room. What? It's crazy, y'all. It's crazy.
Searching for beforehand. Who is he talking to? What did he say afterwards? There are a lot of things that they're going to examine to show cool reflection as opposed to just a reaction to not getting medication. And so I think it's going to be very hard for him to avoid an insanity defense, to have an insanity defense, or to have a defense that I didn't know what I was doing, I didn't plan it, didn't think about it, it was a reaction, it's like a monster got inside me. I think this is going to be difficult because once you start covering up your crimes, then it doesn't look like it was so spontaneous. Once you start covering up your tracks, then it looks like this was planned.
As the defense attorney on this case, how much of a surprise do you think today is? Based off the fact that he was indicted back in February on a murder charge, you knew all of this at this point. I mean, what was, if you could take us inside what it's like for a defendant at this point and his team, especially after February, where those are the...
Simi, yes, she moved her room there because she's doing some spiritual stuff. Girl, let me tell you, if y'all have not seen the Peacock documentary yet, y'all got to go watch it because they did the first 3 episodes, last year? I think it was last year. And they just released the 4th episode, and it's all of the recent stuff. I was blown away. I was like, oh my God. Because y'all got to go watch it for yourself. I'm not going to spoil it for you.
Charges that he's going to be facing. At that point, it was in juvenile court.
Well, I think what's
Crazy.
surprising is that the sexual assault is in there. That was something that I think all of us were unsure of because we knew there was a murder that took place. So I can see the murder charge, but then the sexual assault, that's something new. But as far as the criminal defense lawyers, I would bet they were aware of this in advance. They're generally not blindsided. They know based on where the case is going, based on where the subpoenas are, based on the length of time it takes to investigate, and based on leaks from the U.S. Attorney's Office that they were prepared for this. I'll bet you they told their client that you're going to be charged with murder and possibly even sexual assault because they know what happened. They talked to the client, and that this will not be in juvenile court. So I don't think the defense lawyers here were blindsided. Perhaps the family was blindsided because they appear to still be living in a bubble saying how wonderful the relationship was between the step siblings.
Right.
When in reality, it looks like it was far different.
Yeah,
Judy, it's on Peacock. NBC Peacock. You have to have the subscription, unfortunately. I piggyback off my father and so I'm fortunate enough to have it. Simi, I'll figure something out so you could see that part. It's wild.
remember the line from, I think it was the grandmother said they were 2 peas in a pod, and you look at the allegations now, it's hard to believe that. Of course, the way that people appear to members of their family and to reality sometimes can be really different. If he is found, well, before I get to what a potential punishment could look like, I just think of, for the prosecutors, like, you have video of him, she goes into the room, he goes into the room, she's found the next morning under the bed in this stateroom, and he leaves the room. Like, it seems like in some ways you could look on the outside and say it was a pretty open and shut case. Like, how confident are prosecutors at this point? I know no case is ever 100% sure.
She's literally wearing the same tube top that I'm wearing, only mine is pink. I swear to God, y'all. She's wearing the same tube top. It like opens up right here and it's like fluttery at the bottom. That's so funny. That's so funny.
But it seems like a pretty straightforward narrative that they could put out there of what happened inside that room.
Yeah. Well, he was the last one to see her alive. He was the last one with her. And you're on a cruise ship. It's not like you're out in the wilderness. There are cameras everywhere. There are access cards to know who swiped what and when. And so it's hard to get away with a crime like this on a cruise ship. And when they asked him about his actions the night before, when they questioned him, he said he didn't remember. It's not exactly what you'd say if you're professing your innocence. And so I think that they've got this guy dead to rights. The big question was whether he'd be able to use an excuse of medication and his age, because he's a juvenile, to his benefit. But apparently not.
No, and now, like, I mean, if he were to be found guilty of these charges, and we'll see how things play out, life imprisonment is the maximum penalty on both of the counts that he's facing. But even still, 16, 17 years old, going off to federal prison, like what does life look like for someone that young being found guilty of charges so serious?
Well, the law allows for a life sentence for a juvenile, not the death penalty, but you still have to jump through extra hoops. It's not so easy to get life in prison. You have to go through the juvenile's special circumstances and then find that life is appropriate. And also then there is a chance that that individual could get released at some point because they have the opportunity for a review later on. So it's not life without parole, but it is life in prison. And he's not going to get out even under the best circumstances for him. If he's found guilty and gets a life sentence, he's not going to get out for decades. And that's much better than the juvenile system, because had he been found guilty in the juvenile system, he would likely be out by the time he's 21.
And what do you make of the timeline? I know in the federal system, things move really slowly. Anna Kepner died, according to authorities, November 6th. Here we are mid-April when he's now facing charges as an adult. What do you make of that timeline to get to this point?
Prosecutors have one shot at it because there's a speedy trial clock that runs once you charge someone. So if you charge someone too soon and you're not ready, the defense can invoke the speedy trial rule, and then you're forced to go to trial without your ducks in a row. They didn't want that to happen. You're talking about a murder case here. And so it's better to slow it down and delay it at the front end than to allow them to go free forever at the back end.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens. Obviously, a major development today. Dave Ehrenberg, always great to have you here on Law and Crime. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
That will do it for On the Case, presented by Law.
All right. So, oh my gosh. Remove from stage. Can I add myself back to the stage? Oh my gosh. Hold on.
Did not
Let's do
try
this.
to contact me at all whatsoever.
And then do that. There we go. It's like, how do I do this? I done lost myself. Okay. So there's that. So he's saying that being tried as an adult might be better than him being tried as a kid. I don't know. But life with parole would be better for him. Oh yeah, you're back. Yeah, I made it back. Because he has a chance to get out if he proves himself, to be a better fit for society later on. I mean, I don't know. He has a chance to go to the parole board. People have done it before, and they've gotten out and they've lived okay lives. So we'll see what happens. This video right here is, I believe, let me see. I think it's the last thing that I've got for you guys today. Today's not going to be as long because tomorrow we start the Shonda Vander Ark stuff. She's going to be, well, we've already started it, but we're going to start her on the stand. And I want to try to get through as much as we can because, again, it's a lot. So I don't want today to be too long. So this right here really breaks my heart. But if tried as a kid, he's out at 18, full stop. Yeah, exactly. So this right here broke my heart when I saw it. Like, what time tomorrow? 3:00. So Sundays, if I've got something that I want to share, I'll go live at 3, but it should always be Mondays at 3. But yeah, this broke my heart when I saw it. This is what I was talking about earlier with the bio mom, you guys. And I tried to, this one right here, the volume was really funky and I tried to adjust it as much as I could. So sorry.
And did not try to contact me at all whatsoever to let me know that my daughter died. I found out because I live in Oklahoma. And my youngest son goes to school with a good friend of mine's nephew. And he told her nephew that his sister was murdered on a cruise ship. So I got a text message saying, hey, is Anna on a cruise? And you need.
He got a text message from someone else letting her know that her daughter was gone. Could you imagine The family didn't even tell her. Someone saw it on Facebook and was all like, hey, is your daughter okay? Like, was she on a cruise? Is this her? I couldn't believe it. Patriotism, I know people work. um, that's just everybody's got different times, so I try to schedule it the best that I can. It is sad. It is sad. You know, I don't care what the relationship is between anybody. If someone's child, you know, passes away, you let them know. You let them know. It does not matter what the relationship is between you and that person, or even between the parent and the child, really. Like, I mean, unless they were like super abusive, but yeah, no problem, patriotism. That's just like the crappiest thing that I've heard in a while. Like, if I found out from someone else that my kid was unalived and the family didn't tell me, I would lose it. Woo, I would go ballistic.
To find out right away and call me. And I was like, do what? So I called Anna's cell phone. She didn't answer. So then I got a hold of her on TikTok. Well, tried to get a hold of her on TikTok. She still didn't answer. So I started questioning, why is she asking me about that? So I got on my ex-husband's Facebook where there was nothing on there. So I got on to Tabby, his second wife's Facebook.
So this is her mom right here in the picture, and all these pictures that you see are Anna as a kid. And at the end of this, it does cut off. I don't know why. I couldn't find it anywhere else, but
The woman that raised my daughter, and there I seen a picture of her car with flowers on it, and Tabby saying they were going to leave it at the high school for a short time as a memorial for Anna. And so that's when I Googled 18-year-old dies on cruise ship is what I put in the search bar, and that's when my daughter's face popped up all over Google.
I cannot even imagine. Yeah, I just, honest to God, I cannot even imagine finding out about your daughter's death by Googling and not getting a call. And to make matters worse, there was a celebration of life. I'm not sure if it was a full-fledged funeral, but there was some kind of memorial held yesterday. And I'm told that you were banned, that your ex-husband banned you from going. Can you walk me through what happened and what the circumstances were?
He told me that when I told him I was coming down there, he said that that he knew for a fact that Anna would not want me there. And I said, that's a lie. I was like, but whatever. And he goes, if you step foot in Florida, I will have you arrested immediately for back child support.
what? Okay, so clearly she owed some child support, but still, who cares? You let the mother know that her daughter was unalived. This is the shittiest thing that I have heard in a long ass time. She found out from Google that her daughter was unalived, and they didn't even what?
And so you went anyway, right?
Yeah.
In disguise?
Yeah, I wore a wig and I wore some really tall high heels, so that way, if he was looking for somebody short, he wouldn't see me.
Oh my God.
And
good for her. Good for her. She said, I'm a dress up. Not having to dress up for your own daughter, I know I'm laughing, but good for her.
And were you able to attend the funeral? Did anyone see you or spot you? Tell me what happened next when you got there.
Nobody spotted me. I kind of stayed in the back, close to the door, so if I needed to make a quick getaway, I could.
I don't know what that one is.
It was really nice. They had a lot of pictures of my daughter. I didn't see her dad, but then again, I wasn't trying to either. I stayed for a little bit, but I didn't stay for the whole thing. My anxiety got too high and I had to go.
And what, tell me a little bit about the funeral. What was said about Anna at the funeral?
They just talked about how she was a great kid and She did really well in school. She wanted to join the military. She had a boating license before she was able to get her driver's license.
Do you
She
know
is
anything
so
about?
stinking cute. Look at how cute she is. Oh my God. I'm actually thankful that the mom did this interview because we're seeing so many cute pictures of her when she was younger instead of just all the ones that we're seeing of her like currently.
The suspect in this case, and I say suspect not because police have said it. It's the 16-year-old stepbrother. Do you know anything about the stepbrother and the dynamic between
Patriotism.
Anna and him?
No, because I didn't even know that Tabitha and Christopher had gotten a divorce. I didn't even know he remarried. Like I said, Christopher and I do not talk whatsoever. And he made it extremely difficult for me to even have a relationship with my daughter. And the last time I seen my daughter, he again made me look like a piece of shit. So when I was getting on the airplane, I flipped him off and called him a few choice words I probably shouldn't have. And he told my daughter that I was telling her that. I was talking to her. So
Oh, no.
at that point, Anna kind of stopped talking to me. So I call her on her birthday and holiday. That's about it. And
All right. And that was all of that. So it sounds like the father was trying to turn her against her bio mom. And I don't know what the situation is there. Some of the pictures, I'm not going to say it, but that's so shitty that no one told her. She found out from Google and that she wasn't invited to the celebration of life. And if she did, she was going to get hit with back child support. The fuck? Well, I'm glad that she went. I'm glad that she went undercover and she got to see the celebration of life of her daughter. Good for her. Exactly. He absolutely could be. He could have been. That is so sad. Y'all, are you talking about the Bahama? Yeah, I'm not sure which one that one is. There's so many out there, you guys. I can't follow all of them. But I'll have to look into it. Patriotism, I think you're friends with me on Discord. You can always send it to me. But yeah. It's really sad. That is, let me see. I think that's all that I've got for you guys today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. Yep, that's all I've got for you guys today. And if you don't have these, before I get out of here, I'll show you what these are. So these are like Smarties squishies or something like that. And it's like this. You can't see it. Hold on. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like this squishy. It's really good. It's like soft and pillowy, almost like marshmallowy. Anyways, I hope to see everybody at 3 tomorrow. We will be starting Shonda on the stand. I'm going to hope to get as much as I can in there. I appreciate all of you for being here today. Please hit that like button on your way out if you didn't hit it on your way in. And that's it. Bye.
So long for now and goodbye. We'll see you later.